We live
Okay.
streaming, Caleb?
We will be in just a second.
Cool.
Going live. Okay, and we are now live broadcasting on YouTube. It is 1 o'clock, so it's time for Tech Talks. Ben, take it away.
Woohoo! All right, so we are back again. And Cameron asked, I don't even know where I'm at or what I'm doing here. What's the topic? And so the topic of today's Tech Talk is analytics for Canvas, LMS, and Panopto, our lecture capture software. How can we actually take all that data that it's showing us and give us some insights to make actual change in our course? And so without further ado, I'll jump in and we'll give time for questions at the end. I want to kind of introduce this as thinking about analytics. We often think about, how do I make sure my student is struggling right now? And that's really important. But I think analytics with Canvas is also really good at letting us think about our course as a whole. As we teach it from quarter to quarter, what are some pinch points in the quarter? What are areas where students are struggling continuously? And maybe give us some insights into some interventions that we can build in to maybe provide more successful opportunities for students. And so that's kind of the pitch here of before we get into show it. So think about it as like a micro or a macro and then a micro. And that micro will be zooming in on specific students who are maybe struggling. So I'm going to share my screen. Due to student privacy, really, we're not going to show a live class other than my instructor faculty development course, so including the instructors here. However, you can kind of follow these steps, and the things that I show you will give you ideas of things to look at in your own course. So feel free to follow along. And we don't want to throw any students out there. But let's go ahead and we're going to go from our home page in our Canvas course. I have new analytics turned on. You may not, and if you don't, it's going to be over here on the right-hand side. And so that's how you launch this. And this is a new tool, as they say, new analytics. And before it was kind of hidden, and they've tried to make it a lot more robust. And so this is an actionable tool. The first thing you're going to see is course grade, and this is going to show you the scores, the average scores of assignments in your course. Like I said, this is the faculty development course, so you either do it or you don't, basically, for our instance. However, immediately, you see these little assignments here, and they're blue, and they're going to show the average of your students' scores. And if you click on them or you hover over them, it's going to tell you what it is. And if you click on them, it's going to be actionable. It's going to pop up. So it's going to give the due date of it, the average score, how many people are missing on it. And oh my gosh, my faculty are slacking hardcore. I bet Cameron's one of them. And how many people are late. But, so right away, it's kind of actionable here because the message student who feature, which was previously in the gradebook, is now embedded in all of the analytics. So it's combining the analytics with communication. And so I can send targeted messages to students who maybe were late on this. And so if I click on this, I can say, okay, my students who scored 90 to 100. Here's my group of students who did that on this assignment. I can send them an encouraging message telling them they are knocking it out of the park and bravo. I can go to missing students, all 286 of them who failed to submit the assignment. And so this is tailoring a message to this specific population, as you can see. It's pretty handy that way. It allows you not to have to email blast everybody, but rather send targeted messages. That's looking at the course grade and specific assignments.
Hey, Ben, I got a real quick question about that messaging tool. I don't know if Canvas has this or not. Does it have like variable tags you could put in there where you could say like first name and then it'll fill in the name of the individual student, or does it not do that?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Just making sure that I'm not missing.
I'm sure some super nerds have written some scripts that do that, but not at our instance.
Okay. So keep the message more general than that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. And a good thing to point out there is the BCC. So it's blind carbon copy. They can't reply all and say, hey,
They don't see who else got a 90 to 100%. They only see themselves.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. So That's course grade. This bar here lets you go over through the time of the course. And so you can see across the bottom, it shows you the different types of activities, and then you can break that down by unclicking that specific group, and it will isolate those. If you go over to weekly online activity, this is going to show you looks like we're getting there. This is going to show you the activity of your course. Now, this is a faculty development course, so it's obviously not going to mimic what a quarter is, winter quarter. However, they generally start off pretty peaked up, and then they settle down into a pattern for the quarter. They may dip a little bit, but then they'll peak up towards the end of finals week, and then it'll kind of tailor off. That's generally what I see when I look at faculty's courses and their analytics. However, if you're looking at a course and you see the first week or two, it really peaks, and then it drops off for 3 weeks and nobody's doing anything, that's something to learn there, and that's something to think about. What's missing in this course to keep student engaged? Maybe I'm assuming they're reading the materials and watching the lectures, and maybe there's some ways that I can assess whether or not they're actually doing that. Or maybe I assume they just need 3 weeks off to get ready for this big first essay. However, if they're not really doing well on that essay, maybe in those 3 weeks off where it's a lull in the analytics, I can build in some pre-work for that essay, or some iteration, some drafts, some peer review activities, those types of things. So that's kind of how you can think about it at the macro level. But if I'm looking at this, and it's really want to point out, this data here is showing you, if I highlight it, shows 94 page views and the average page views per user. It's interactive as well. I can click on this and get more information. So it's going to pull up a list of all my students in this course and what pages they viewed, yada, yada, yada. However, what's worth pointing out, and we'll get back there, is this week here, Canvas has a week-long data lag. So this information is not accurate for a week. And this is not very helpful, right? So it's showing that this week I have 0 page views. Well, that can't be accurate because Caleb and I just put out a new module and we had feedback on it and we had people submit assignments for it. And so this data is going to be a week late. And so that's a limitation within it. I've been knocking on Canvas's door for about a year, trying to push them to make that live data, and they're not budging. They're saying it's nearly impossible because they'd have to set up, blah, blah, blah for every school and blah, blah, blah. It's too much money and we can't do it right now. But so that's a limitation of this data. Knowing the weekly flow of the course isn't going to be completely accurate at this aggregate level. So again, this is going to be a little more helpful looking at the macro level when you're thinking about your course as a whole. It's week 11 or 12 and you're looking back and trying to get some insights that way. That's where it's going to be helpful. Now, however, so this is a week long, if I go to students, and I can get pretty accurate data within 24 hours. So it's not live, but it's not a week lag. It's 24 hours old, some of this data. And so let's see if Cameron's in here. I'm going to pick on you, Mr. McCormick.
Don't know that I am.
There you are.
Oh, good for me.
You are active, and you are very active in this course, Cameron. So I can search by a student's name and it can pull them up. And it gives me some basic information here, how many participations, how many page views, the last time he's viewed a page. So this is a good way of getting some insight into students that are active in your course. And this is within 24 hours, this piece here.
And Ben, when it says participations, what is it referring to for that?
Good question. So a participation is an attempted quiz. Okay. They don't actually have to complete it, but they have to attempt it. A post in a discussion board.
Okay.
A submitted assignment. And I believe that's it. Those 3 things. So quizzes, assignments, and discussion boards.
So basically the 3 graded activities that you might have in a Canvas class, if they at least start one of those things, that counts as participation?
Absolutely.
Okay, good to know.
Yep. And so back on the student page, oops. back on the student page. These kind of columns here you can organize by, priority. And so quick one people will do is they'll click page views and see who's not participating and use that as a way to engage students right away. Okay, at the end of the first week, who hasn't logged into my course at all? Well, I can see, say this student hasn't, and then they can go ahead and communicate with that group here. And so this is another handy of the message students who report as well.
So that might be a good argument for having some kind of basic graded assignment in that first week so that it's easy to hit those students that haven't submitted anything in the first week.
Absolutely. When you look at this week-long lag of data, if this is the first week, you have no good analytical insight on student behavior. So what do you have? Well, you have assignments that they can submit, emails that prompt them to email you, or meetings that you can set up, quick little syllabi quizzes, things like that. And so that's definitely something we recommend. We notice that students that are engaged early and often in a course, they persist much better than students that aren't expected to come around until week 2 or 3. Good point. One more thing in weekly online activity, this message student who feature is a little bit different. And so, I'm under weekly online activity. I can do some actionable communication here, but what I find interesting is it allows me to target people and students who have completed specific tasks by participated or didn't participate. So if I have an introduction forum, I can go to students who didn't participate and write in the name of that forum. Maybe it's this assignment, for example. And I can see my students here who didn't do that. And then I can write a message for them. Encourage them to complete that task and let them know the behaviors of successful online students, right? That's our job, is to kind of coach, cheerlead them on, let them know how to be successful. But I can also do it for students who have viewed or didn't view specific items in my course. And so, an instructor will say, well, my students never read my syllabus. Well, we can actually see who didn't click on it at least. We don't know if they understood it or if they read it, but we can say, okay, I want to message students who didn't view this syllabus. And we don't actually, well, there you go. And I can pull up 299 students who didn't view the syllabus for the faculty development course. And of course, use some sort of message to try to encourage them of the behaviors of successful online students and how the syllabus is a roadmap, and I'd print it off and blah, 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 whatever you'd use to encourage them to get in there. Kind of run it up against the wall. So I think we may throw off, but we'll keep going. I do want to, what's that?
Just go for it.
Okay. I do want to highlight this new feature is reports. And it basically shows you, it gives you the opportunity to run specific reports. And this is brand new. I haven't really played around with this too much, but a lot of the things that I've just showed you, it allows you to pull a specific report for. So if I wanted to see, okay, who's missing assignments, I can click run a report. And it's gonna formulate and build this report for you, so you can pull it and run it. So it's good. See how long it takes.
So this is for those instructors that like to build spreadsheets and organize their data in that way, because it pulls it into a CSV file, which you can open in Excel or lots of different spreadsheet and database programs.
Yeah, and I haven't really found this helpful because this is pretty obvious on the gradebook, right?
Right.
What I've found to be helpful is this course activity, though, and it shows you all of the activity within your course. And so I can see Cameron McCormick looked at these pages in my course. And so I just downloaded it here, and we'll pick on Cameron again. I'm searching. Yep. So I can, if a student says, hey, or hey, I looked at the assignment, I can go, well, let's see what Cameron looked at. And it's going to give me a lot of BS here. This looks like browser, maybe information. But this here is the specific pages and items he looked at. And for some reason, let me see if I can drag that. For some reason, so we're going to highlight this. It pulls up GIFs and pictures, and it does have the pages, and it does too, but it pulls up all this extraneous stuff. So I'm not sure if, why that's being thrown into the course activity, but I can see, okay, well, Cameron looked at these pages and he's gone through here. So it looks like he's going through the course the right way. Maybe I need to help him out here.
Yeah, so it looks like it puts a different cell for every single item and image and file and everything that you access in the course. So in this case, if Cameron looked at the newsletter, then he saw the comic and he saw the GIFs and he saw all those little embedded things, and they each show up as a separate item in there.
Yeah, yeah. So you can get that full picture of what they saw. Yep. So I thought that could be pretty helpful for faculty if they really want to dig into the behaviors of some of their students. Any questions on Canvas analytics?
I'm just running through it myself as you speak. So,
Okay.
so far, so good.
Caleb, do you think we should table Panopto to keep it within our time frame, or just roll on into Panopto?
Let's ask Cameron. Cameron, do you want to also spend a few minutes looking at Panopto, or should we save that for another time? Like, we try to keep this to 15 minutes, but we often go over, and I don't think that's usually a problem unless people have to leave.
I do not have to leave, so Panopto me.
Cool. Let's do it. So Panopto is our lecture capture tool. A lot of folks are familiar with it. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a way to record, lectures from your desk in your office and embed it quickly into, or fairly quickly into Canvas. And it works pretty good. It's a jack of all trades program, and a lot of folks are using it. Panopto provides its own analytics, and they're pretty robust as well. To access them, you click on Panopto recordings, and there's two analytic kind of frames that you can look at.
Hey, Ben.
Yep.
I do not have Panopto recordings in my navigation panel. I've turned it off.
Perfect.
Okay. Any advantage one way or the other?
If you don't have it, you can turn it on from your settings.
I know I can, but I usually go to Panopto outside of Canvas.
Gotcha. If you go to it from your course, you're going to get a good idea of the video analytics from the students in that specific course.
Okay.
And so that's generally the best way of doing it. However, you can still get to the analytics regardless however you access it. So we'll pull them up, and you can look at your course as a whole. And so the first way of doing that is looking at the analytics feature here. And then you can also look at it for each individual video. You can go ahead and click that stats icon. And from the bigger picture, we can go ahead and click on it here. And it gives us some pretty accurate data. This is going to let you know your time frame. So I can go anytime. I can go the last 90 days if I'm looking back, or I can go, hey, over the quarter, over the trend, how many people have been viewing our videos. And so here's any time, and it kind of gives you a snapshot of video usage here, trends in overall of video use. Probably not super helpful, but this one's going to show you the most popular videos in your course. And so that might be helpful too, of thinking, okay, what's making this video popular? So I can tell Panopto basics, Panopto editing, Panopto inline quizzes, Panopto quizzes, Panopto quizzes. Nobody's really interested in hearing me make videos about andragogy, right? I think most folks are more interested in my Panopto basics and how to use some of the technology that we support, not my diatribes on academic integrity. So, that might give me some insight of what content I should create for faculty. And just like that, you might get some insight of, what content should I, create for students, or what should I mimic for students? If you notice that your smaller, shorter videos are being viewed more, maybe I need to make my videos, not 3-hour marathons, more smaller chunks. So we can see it. And if I have the option here to click all of my videos in the course, so that's great. So I can see there's some views, but I can go ahead and click into a specific video to zero in on that video. And this is interesting too, because it shows, again, it's all time, and I can change that time frame. But it shows when a lot of people are focused on that, which, you know, if you're teaching a course and it's a module 3 lecture, you're going to have a general idea of when people are going to be zeroing in on it. This one shows you your engagement. So how many people started the video and then when they started petering out watching it. So I can see this one has pretty good. Often well, it's a 3-minute video, but often people will drop off a lot earlier. It's more common. And then this is showing me the people that have been viewing my videos. And so a lot of faculty will ask, how do I know if my students are watching videos? And so this is one way of seeing that. So I can see that Tim McKean, man, he really loved this video. He's watched it 11 times. He averaged 1.7 minutes per watch. He's seen it 100%. So bravo to Tim. And same with that guy, Ben. He's watched this 9 times and for an average of, 0.1 minutes. So it's not really getting through it, but this is good information. And I can click see all to see all of the folks who have watched this video. Oops. I can click see all to see all the folks who have watched this. Now, depending on how you set up your video, you're going to see anonymous. And that's when you have your permission settings in your video set to be anybody with the link can view. And that means the student doesn't have to be logged into Canvas. If you have your permission settings, anyone at the organization can view, then that means they have to be credentialed through Canvas to unlock that video, to have access. And then you can see, and so I can click on that specific user and I can see when they've watched it. And I can see specific information about this user. So this Tim is our former instructional designer, so we can pick on him. I can see which videos he's been watching and how long within my course, how long he's been watching these videos. So pretty helpful to get some insights into students' behavior. Often students, faculty will say, hey, the students aren't watching these lectures. How do I get them to do it? That's going to be, we'll save that for another day, but we assess and we quiz and we engage them in it. But we know students who aren't succeeding are the ones who aren't engaging in the lecture content. They're not doing the reading. And it's a good idea to be able to quickly identify who is doing that. And unlike Canvas, which has the long lag of lack of data, Panopto is very accurate. So if Tim watched this and I refresh the page, it would show instantaneously. So we know it's a bit more reliable. Any questions on Panopto? That's my 5-minute spiel on how to get some information out of there.
Well, I was just noticing that up there at the top where it says user dashboard, you have any time, so you can change your time frame to narrow it down for this current course if you wish.
Absolutely. And by default, I think it said 30 days.
Yeah, I think mine did.
And I changed it to any time. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Cool. Any thoughts on analytics, Caleb?
Just that, like you were saying earlier, a lot of times faculty and we'll say to ourselves, well, I don't think my students are watching these videos, but it's nice to be able to actually look at the data and back that up, because sometimes we get surprised. Sometimes we look in the analytics and we realize, you know what, a lot of students are watching this quick little video I did about using some tool in Canvas. And they not only are they watching it, but they're watching it multiple times, which often means this is a useful resource to those students. Or on the other hand, if I've made an hour-long lecture and I look at the analytics and I see, well, they're watching the first 10 minutes of it and then they're leaving. That tells me a few things. It tells me maybe I need an activity at about the 10-minute mark, or maybe I need to break these up into several smaller videos. Or maybe the information that I convey in the first 10 minutes is really the important part and they don't need all this other stuff. Or it means they're missing something that is really important later in the video. All those different details and those things are very actionable things that I can do something about. So being able to look at those numbers and those analytic data and act on it is extremely powerful.
Okay, so true or false question for both of you. Good instructors should go through the analytics, identify who's not watching their videos, and then send them creepy messages saying, I can watch every move that you make in Canvas, and I've noticed this. True or false?
False.
Yeah, we have the power for good, right? We got to remember that, not evil.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I mean, you're right. It can be dangerous if you use these tools to like really police individual students. That can cause a lot of hard feelings with your students, a lot of mistrust. But I think it is super helpful to use it more on the aggregate level of saying, most of my students are watching this, or most of my students are not watching this whole video. And what should I do about that? What does that mean to my course design and my delivery and my assessments? But yeah, you don't really want to use it to really persecute individual students. That's probably not a great idea.
Absolutely. Hey, and Cameron, we wanted to point out one thing outside of this topic. Zoom has added some live auto captions. And so in your Zoom screen on the bottom, next to share screen or next to chat and participants, to the right should be live transcripts. If you click on that and click show subtitles, you'll see that when turned on, this feature is available and accurate, and we're trying to spread the word.
Subtitle settings I'm seeing.
Do you have show subtitles?
Well, I've been watching your subtitles, so maybe I already have it on.
Oh,
Perfect.
so you already have it turned on. Yep, you're good to go then.
Good for me.
Yeah. The only thing that is that the host of the meeting has to be the one to enable this first. So I'm hosting this, so I had to go in there, click on the button and click enable live transcript. Once I did that, then it's available to our viewers. If I had not done that, then you wouldn't have that button.
Okay, all right.
So that's just something we'll be out. I think Jerry will be sending out an email later this week about the feature, because we've had it for a little while, but we were hesitant to kind of talk about it yet because we want to make sure everything's working right, but it seems good to go. So we're going to start promoting the heck out of that.
I feel that sometimes when I make a Panopto video, captioning is hit and miss, whether it does an automatic captioning. And I'm not sure if it's the fault of I chose to create the video in one way that I shouldn't have, or does it just take a while for Panopto to process it? Could that be?
Yeah, I think it's on by default, and it's just a processing issue. It just takes a while.
Okay, all right.
And so a couple nice things about this Zoom captioning. I think the algorithm that does it transcribes it seems very accurate. Not perfect, but surprisingly good. And from what I've seen, I think it's probably better than the auto captioning algorithm that Panopto has. But the nice thing about these Zoom captions are when you have these enabled during a Zoom meeting and you're recording the meeting, when it's over, it'll go straight into Panopto along with the captions. So the Zoom captions will get added to your Panopto video if you are recording a lecture or something that way. So
yeah, I don't usually record Zooms, but I do
gotcha.
Personally. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean with any kind of auto captioning, it makes a big difference. The sound quality of your recording, background noise, how good your microphone is, how quickly or slowly you're speaking. So all of that kind of makes a difference in the quality of the transcription. None of them are perfect. Some are better than others, and all those variables affect how good the transcription is.
Speaking of quality, Ben, your video quality seems to be much better than mine.
It's lighting.
Yeah, I know it's my lighting, but is it only lighting or is it your camera itself, do you think?
It's lighting, absolutely.
Okay.
If I go this is my rated room, I think, according to Caleb. If I go into my office, the lighting's really poor. I have like a lamp and that's about it. And it looks, I kind of have that same yellowy hue that's dark with a lot of shadows that you have.
Yeah. And I mean, it does kind of, you know, it does depend on how good the camera on your laptop is. If it's a much older laptop, it's probably not as, the light sensor in the camera is not going to be as effective. So, I mean, yes, it kind of matters, but if it's a fairly up-to-date computer, then the webcam's going to be, they're all going to be pretty similar. So yeah, the lighting.
I just upgraded from a 720 Lexar to a 1080 Depths Tech.
Okay. So then, yeah, the 1080 is going to be a pretty high quality, high res camera. So it's definitely going to be the lighting that matters.
All right, I'll work on that because I did have a student comment on it the other day. So
okay, I mean, it's not bad. It's Ben's is a little sharper because he's got that nice bright natural light in there. But I mean, yours isn't bad. I can see you just fine.
Yeah, some tricks that I've used is move my desk to the window and have the natural light shine on me.
Sunlight works really well.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, but then when I'm working at the computer, the light's in my eyes. And
yeah.
Don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, very good, guys. Good to see you all again.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for joining us, Cameron.
All right, bye.
Well, with that, I guess we are out of time. So I'm going to stop our broadcast. Thanks everybody that's watching live or that's watching the recording later on. And we'll see y'all next week. Okay, broadcast.